Good evening and welcome to the Vigilate Dialogues. I am your host, Shaina Smith, welcoming you to another edition in the National Boardroom. This evening, we're going to be talking about the 10th EDF COSME Direct Assistance Grant Scheme. And with me, I have the subject matter expert at the COSME Program Office, Mr. Sam Krunier. Welcome, Mr. Sam.
Thank you for having me.
So we've been hearing a lot about the Direct Assistance Grant Scheme. So I'd like you to share some information with our audience as far as what it is, how persons can benefit from it in our business community, and anything else about the program that we need to know about.
Well, the Direct Assistance Grant Scheme is part of a bigger program called the COSME program, which is the Caribbean OCT's program for development of SMEs. Which was launched last year, April, here in BVI, who operates as BVI operates as the host of this EU program. The COSME program is a 15 million euro program that is funded by the EU for the development of the SMEs in the OCTs, 11 OCT countries in the region. The grant scheme, as we call it, is a small part of it. The COSME program has about 4 pillars.
Okay.
One, it has to do with the enabling environment of the government, that we're working on the infrastructure of the government to develop businesses. The second part has to do with the business support organizations that need that level of support and upbuilding to also support the SMEs. The third part has to do with the SMEs themselves, that they would get that level of support to become better, to become more competitive. That's where the grant scheme falls under. And the fourth component is about the integration, the collaboration with other entities in the region, with other countries in the region. The grant scheme itself is a very small part of this program.
Okay.
It is the COSME program is not a funding program. It's a program, like I said before, sorry, to develop the SMEs. And
when you say SMEs,
the
what
small and medium-sized enterprises of these OCTs. And the grant scheme is just there as one aspect of making the small and medium-sized enterprises more competitive. The grant scheme that is launched is about €500,000. It is launched in May this year, and the intention is that we will have 2 grant schemes over the course of 2 years. For 2015, we will have €200,000 available for all 12 OCT countries. Sorry, it was not 11, but 12.
So with the OCTs, we're talking about specifically the English, the Dutch, and the French territories in the Caribbean.
Correct. You talk about the British OCTs, we'll talk about Anguilla, Montserrat, BVI, Cayman Island, Turks and Caicos, and Montserrat. And the Dutch OCTs, that's like Curaçao, Aruba, Saint Martin, Bonaire, Saba, as well as one French island, which is Saint Barts.
Okay.
So this scheme is for all these OCTs. You have, like I mentioned before, you have the €500,000 chop up in 2 call for proposals, as they call it. For 2015, you will then have €200,000 available for all these OCTs, SMEs and those OCTs to apply for a grant. And in 2016, there will be €300,000 that the remaining funds that will be allocated for the SMEs to apply for a grant.
Okay, and the grants mean that it's basically money that doesn't have to be repaid.
The grant is usually is EU taxpayers' funds that are being used for development of countries that the EU wants to implement some development activities in. And in this case, it is a region, the OCT region, and it is non-refundable. It is free money.
Okay.
to put it like that. But it is money for which you have to go through a particular process to get to develop your business from a market research up to doing something on your shop or your business cards, website, and everything.
Okay. So I attended an information session last week where you were talking to us about the call for proposal. Walk us through that process as far as what's in process right now, actually.
All right. The call for proposal starts with a publication of the call. The call for proposal is, for people to understand, it is an EU system that they use to make sure that everybody has equal period, and equal conditions to apply for a grant. So the call for proposal period started in May to the 21st of May 2015, and it ends, the deadline for submission of your proposal is the 6th of August 2015. At the moment, what we then have is that the companies in all the OCTs need to go on the COSME website, that is www.cosmeprogram.org, cosmeprogram.org, and download the application form, and as well as all the other documentations that they need to complete, as well as read the documentation that is also there on the website, which is called the guidelines for application.
And you stress that we should keep checking the website to make sure that we have the most current information in case something is updated.
Exactly. It is important for businesses, and that I must say up front that for businesses to be eligible for this grant, they need to comply with the requirements stated in the guidelines. Those are, you need to be a registered business in one of the OCT countries, and for BSOs that can also apply, and BSO stand for Business Support Organizations.
So here in the BVI, an example of that would be the BVI Chamber of Commerce and Hotel Association.
Exactly. Those will be those can only apply when they partner with 4 companies.
So then the bank association or even the insurance company association, they could also.
You can have the accountants association. You can have the association of call it accountants and those kind of people,
professional
organizations. As long as they are a registered body, they can submit an application on behalf of their members, but they need to co-apply. Just as a co-applicant, they need to have at least four of their businesses sign up with them.
And then I think one of the other criteria I remember. I think we touched all of them. We already talked about the co-applicants, so that it doesn't have to be one person, but then we can have groups of persons.
You can have groups of persons. Usually the business support organizations, those kind of bodies, those associations are the ones that are working with co-applicants. In general, companies can come on their own. The grant itself, because that is the meat of the matter that we haven't touched on yet, is about a maximum contribution of the EU is about 12,000 euro, which is somewhere around 16,000 US dollars, depending on the exchange rate, of course, of that day.
At that time,
So the EU contributes to 70% of your budget, up to 12,000 euro.
And then the balance now is the
comes
responsibility
out of your pocket.
Of the applicant.
Exactly. EU funds don't really go for 100% financing anymore. It's been years ago that they've done it, and they learn from it because it's not been appreciated, to put it blunt like that. But in general, the EU comes with a 70-30. 70 is their contribution, in this case, a maximum, whatever the amount is, a maximum of 70% up to 12,000 euro. And your project have to be minimum 2,000 euro. It makes no sense to come up with a project for less than 2,000 euro.
All right. Well, we're going to take a commercial break at this point, and when we come back, we'll talk about what are some of the eligible actions that persons can apply for the
Right.
grant for and some more information about the call for proposal. You're tuned in to the Vigilate Dialogues. I'm your host, Shaina Smith, and we'll be right back after this commercial break. Welcome back. You're tuned in to the Vigilate Dialogues. I'm Shaina Smith, your host this evening, and with me I have Mr. Sam Krunier, and he is the subject matter expert that's a part of the COSME program office. And if you just tuned in, we've been talking about the 10th EDF COSME Direct Assistance Grant Scheme. And if you're a business owner, we need to go and get a pen and paper because we're going to be giving some very valuable information about money that's available for small and medium-sized enterprises to further develop their businesses. The one thing I know I forgot as far as criteria, it can't be a startup business.
No.
That's the important one I
Right,
forgot.
exactly, exactly. The businesses, the EU funds and grants team in this case are not for startup businesses. You
Okay.
must be 1 year in existence, 1 year in business, because also you have to present 1 year finance.
Okay.
Financial audited, not unaudited statements.
Okay, so they don't have to be an audited
Yeah, unaudited,
statements.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about some of the actions and then we'll get into some more specifics as far as what the application form requires. You mentioned earlier one of the types of actions that can possibly be submitted is about market research. If
Right.
somebody needed to do market research for their business to see, what services or products they can offer, or how well
Correct.
their current services are doing, and if they need to make any changes. What else can we apply for?
Before I go into that, just briefly about the application form. It is important for folks to understand that everything is preset. They have a template, a form that they need to complete. It's not a matter of that they have to go and write from scratch.
And that's on the website?
That's on the website. So you have to download the form and start completing it. And it's important for folks then, when it comes down to, besides the eligibility, also when it comes to the activities, to understand clearly what they need to do. They need to put an open and shut case of an application in a sense of the activity that they want to undertake. Market research is one of them. Let's say you're a business here in BVI and you want to find out if your products or your services can be offered or have any use in Turks and Caicos. Easily to be done. What you have to do is to, of course, going through the form, completing it, address the issues of your capacity, your market segment in a sense of market share, I mean, and then also cover those areas with respect to what you're trying to achieve by going to Turks and Caicos, who you're trying to meet with, what kind of market research you want to do. You're going to speak to people, you're going to have a presentation done, because all of that will be cost. And in this application, therefore, you will be able to describe it based on the questions that are being put forward to you in the form. And then you can, in the budget area, you would then be able to put up your travel cost, hotel accommodation, venue cost, anybody that you want to hire there, maybe for some press release, etc., some brochures that you want to print, new business card that you want to print, and those kind of stuff. Those are all aspects of the application that you can put forward.
Okay. So what are some other actions as far as what types of, I remember in the session we were talking about, let's say we need to do infrastructure improvements like painting or small renovation projects.
The grant is not being used for buildings, for buying a piece of land or buying a building. But is eligible, is good for the use of making adjustment to your building to improve your business. For instance, you have a business where you have a copier center where you want to develop a separate part of the building, want to develop into a printery. That you need to, besides the equipment that you're going to purchase, that is going to be part of the application. You probably need to erect a wall in a particular area, probably put some other electricity lines up there, and those kind of stuff. Those are the kind of things that the grant is covering. From that level up to maybe just, in this case with a grant, just to paint the outside of your building. put parking facilities up front just to improve the business. In your application, we have to make sure that you explain the story clearly. You have to be passionate about what you're trying to achieve. Not overselling, of course, but making sure that it is a business that needs these funds, and that these funds are actually being used for improving your businesses.
Business. Okay. So some of the examples also here on the
sheet,
part of the sheet.
Packaging design.
Product diversification,
Exactly.
equipment modernization.
Exactly.
So we need to upgrade equipment.
Right. And what you do then is that when you have in mind what kind of equipment you want, make sure that you on the budget, of course, include also not only the purchasing of that equipment, but also the clearance, custom duties, and installation, and eventually maybe in some cases even training to use the equipment, because that will be all part of the budget. Keep in mind, however, that at some cases, if the 70% contribution of that is a 70-30%, 70% contribution of the EU and 30% from yourself. So some of the costs that you're bringing up there on the budget will be paid out of your pocket.
Okay.
So it is important for you to understand that it is free money. 70% is be covered up to €12,000, but that some of it will have to be covered out of your own pocket.
So it basically it's like it's a partnership where we get a portion of it is funded out of the EDF, and then the rest is from the business.
From the business itself.
Okay. All right. When you talked about presentation of the financials, are we looking at the profit and loss statement, balance sheets? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that kind of documentation that you need to provide from at least 1 year ago, and doesn't have to be calendar years. Can be depends on how your bookkeeping
fiscal year is set up.
Year is set up, and it doesn't have to be audited. So make sure only that it is, is there. There are a couple of additional documentation also that you need to be present. If you're a registered business, you need to present a copy of your registration at the trade license office here, and maybe one or two other stuff that will be cleared in the documentation that you will get, that you need to add. The full application has to be submitted at our office here in BVI. The BVI applicants, to put it like that, or candidate applicants are lucky comparing to other OCTs. They can just come to the Krunier building there by the wharf, I think, is it?
By Airport Purcell.
Airport Purcell.
Yeah.
And drop it off at our office by August 6th, 4:30 p.m. The latest.
So knowing that is festival week, we were talking about this in the session, that is important, best you do it the week before so you don't have to worry about it come August 6th, because that's a Friday. The same week as August Monday. So you're going to be busy that weekend.
Yep, for sure. Many people will party.
So we have the package that we basically download from the website, fill it out, submit. Do we need to submit it by email as well, or you need an electronic version?
No, the submission can only be done in hard copy. You will have to do it on an A4 page. That is a bit of a problem because of the use of particular type of paper here in BVI. The EU is very strict to put it up there. You will. They even ascribe the margins and paper spacing, line spacing that you need to have in your document. Just read the implementation and do as is. So you will have to submit 3 copies, A4, put it in an envelope along with the additional documentation like the budget and everything else, as well as the information need to be on a pen drive or a CD-ROM. Close it, seal it, and on top of it you need to mention the information that you are instructed to do. Among that will be the words not to be opened before the opening session.
Okay.
That is a very important requirement. Like I mentioned before, the EU is very strict. So when it comes to the rules, following the rules and the regulation, make sure that you understand those. If you have any questions, that's another thing. The EU gives that opportunity to send your questions in to info@cosmeprogram.org. And that we are requirement those questions are coming to us, and we are required to answer you up to the 27th of July. 2015 with answers, and those answers that you will get will be distributed to all
to all the applicants. And that's across the region.
That's across the region, in a sense that we will upload it on our website. So it is crucial for anybody who's writing the grant to check the website regularly for not only forms that will be updated, most likely not, but especially this what they call frequently asked questions, or whatever name it has on the website, that will be updated with questions anytime somebody asks. We updated it and we put it up there for everybody to read.
Okay. All right. So those responses then will come back through the website.
Exactly. This grant is very important for the EU, even though it is a small one. It's €500,000. We therefore I want to mention, had gone and visit all the OCT countries, 11 of them, my colleague and mine, and do this presentation the session that you have been part of. Making sure that we have informed them fully about what the grant is all about, how the application process is to be done, and what folks have to look for. There's the similar information we had shared with them.
So basically, there's been basically an information campaign,
right,
as it were, across the region.
Exactly.
In all the OCTs. So we're basically looking at, again, all the 12 countries are going to be competing for the same pot of money.
Correct. That is a basic principle from the EU. Is competing for the best proposal. It's not a lot of money. You would say it up front. We are not shy of saying that. It's €200,000 across 12 OCTs, 11, 12 OCTs. That is not a lot of money, but it is a matter of competing and make the best proposal win. It happens a lot. I saw, to illustrate this, I saw an activity from the gentleman from Virgin Islands, where he had companies do a pitch for new products or new businesses, existing businesses. And even though people know he's a millionaire, they only could cover, with the money that was available, would cover somewhere around 20 or 30 applicants for each getting €100,000. And that's it. And it was a very tough competition, what I've seen online. So in this case, this kind of grant will also teach companies to go through the process of how to present yourself. Everybody knows the program, American TV program called, or Canadian, I think, is it Shark Tank? Is where companies are presenting themselves and doing a pitch for funding. That's what it comes down to. You will be placed in the same category, where in this case not live, but on paper. Folks will be, you have to pull all stops to make sure that you present yourself well.
Your best effort.
Exactly. And do the pitch so that folks, those people that will read the evaluation, because it will not be me or any of my colleagues in the office. The evaluators would be other persons that they understand what you're trying to do. Even if it's for a simple painting of your shop at the front, the story needs to be real. It needs to be clear that you're passionate
what
about
objective of that particular project would be for.
Exactly.
Very key. All right, if you've just tuned in, you've missed quite a bit of information. We're going to take a commercial break and do a recap when we come back. But we have been talking this evening about the Direct Assistance Grant Scheme that is now available for the region. It's for all overseas countries and territories in the English, Dutch, French islands. So we fall in the category of the English overseas territories. And for purposes of business development, this money can be used for. So it's something that's very important, especially to our small businesses. Persons may have issues with getting a loan, but you still have to meet a certain level of criteria,
Yeah.
even though it's different from a loan. So it's not money that you have to repay, but you do have to produce evidence because you have to fund part of the project. So we're gonna do a recap when we come back from the break for everybody. Talk more about the rest of the cycle as far as after it's submitted, what happens after that up until the point of when the grant is actually given. So we'll be right back after this commercial break. Welcome back. You're tuned into the Vigilate Dialogues. I'm your host, Shaina Smith, and with me I have Mr. Sam Krunier, the subject matter expert on the direct grant assistance scheme that's part of the wider COSME program. I know we've been hearing a lot about them over the last year, that the office for this program, which is being funded through the European Development Fund, the EDF, we talked earlier and was saying that the grant scheme is only going to be 500,000, but then you opened up by saying it was I think the fund is 15 million euros.
It's 50 million euros.
Okay, so that money is going to be used towards other projects under the fund. Okay.
Exactly, which I touched on already in the beginning, is going to be supporting the governments in strengthening the infrastructure. The BSOs, the business support organizations, also with training, capacity building, and everything that they will need, sometimes in even equipment. The SMEs themselves with training, direct training assistance that will be provided, courses, etc. And the last part is the collaboration, improving collaboration with the rest of the region, because no matter what, you cannot do everything on your own. You need to have some level of collaboration.
So then at the end of the day, funds such as this, in terms of the European Union contributing now to the overseas territories, we're looked at as developing states.
Right.
This is about us basically developing and strengthening our local economies as well as the regional economy across the borders.
Yes, it is, because the long and short of it is that it is, what do you call it? You have supply and demand. Within the country, but also between countries and regions. If you don't do that, you will have a situation where the companies, the governments are not getting the tools to have the development of their businesses going forward. You will not have employers having work or be able to provide work. Employees will not people will not get work. You have poverty all over the place. That spin-off and circle effect of it will not be there. So what this will create is a good platform for pushing up the economies forward, giving the impulse to the governments and in this case also the business support organization of the direction that you need to take for developing the business based on the needs, and not copying stuff across from others, but making sure that what are the needs on the ground, the needs in the OCTs is, I would say it's not the same, but in a way it is, in a sense that
there's similar themes, but then there's particular environments.
Exactly, you have particular environments which require particular, and that's where the government comes in, and that's where the business support organizations comes in. You have some countries that have a very strong female entrepreneurship happening. You have some countries where the youth entrepreneurship needs to really pick up because of young teens and young mothers and what we call it, kids that don't go to school at an early age, have a difficulty at home. So it gives a particular basis for not only identifying but do something. It's not a lot of money, the 15 million that I'm talking about. A lot of it is going into studies and awareness and bringing things to the surface for the governments to not only understand, but also where the SMEs themselves will create opportunities. I don't believe personally in a top-down situation where the government do everything and push it down to the SMEs. I believe in a bottom-up where the SMEs also do their share.
Yeah.
Not everything the government can do for you, and they won't do it if they don't know that the need is there.
The interest is there.
Exactly.
And I think that's a very important point, because a lot of times persons might start a business, but you know, the level of support that they're looking for from government, or let's say, for example, in our case here locally, the National Business Bureau, is something where it has to be seen as a partnership.
Correct.
Because at the end of the day, as the business owner, you know, the onus is on you. The responsibility is on you to develop your business, and if you need support in terms of whether it's training or the different programs that the government would put forward, then those are made available for you to further develop yourself so that you can, you know, grow your business.
Business itself, I think, and anybody that is seriously in a business is within the business 24/7. You need to really be up and running and think about it. It starts with your product that you are providing, whether it's a good or a services that is in demand, not a product that you think that people want, but you need to check first what is, when I want to produce this thing, this service, do people want it?
Yeah.
Then it becomes down to how you package it, whether it's a good or service, how you package it, how you price it, something that is often been forgotten, because what then happens is that you are not able to pay back any loans from the bank, you're not able to live on it, not able to pay your workers. And then comes the issue of how to expand it, because if there's a high demand for your product, you need to be able to comply with it.
To meet that demand.
Exactly, and then looking at exports.
Yeah.
Looking at your business inside out is very important, and this grant helps you quite a bit into that direction.
Doing that analysis.
Exactly.
And that's so key, because in my line of work, when persons come to me and start talking about different issues with their business, you tend to ask, well, one of the first questions I ask is, you know, do you have a business plan?
Right.
Because it's very important that you have that roadmap in terms of seeing, well, you know, this is what we intended to do. This is what's happening. So that we can quicker troubleshoot, well, you know, why are you getting a different result than what it is you had initially planned?
People should also realize, and whether you're a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer, that you may be good in your job. You need to be you're very
technical
good.
Skills
technical skills are solid, but you're not always a business person. The other day I had a chat with a lady who was into speech therapy. Not speech, music therapy. Totally out of different. I mean, I never heard of it before. And while talking to her, she has the technical aspect of it totally down packed. When it comes to the business and the business model, totally lost. And you need to recognize your strength and the weakness in the business. Sometimes you just need to stay in the kitchen and have somebody else run the business for you. Something that is very, very difficult for business people, and it's not only in the Caribbean. People don't think that your SMEs in the region is different than from the US or from Canada or from Europe. They're all the same. The only difference is that those fellas have the system ready there. Anytime you have an idea, you go to X, you want to do that, you want to Y, and you get it done. They have the system layout there. People know it. The Caribbean, however, is lacking behind in those kind of things. We're still having the issues of trust, systems not in place, people not really fully...
The financial management, record keeping.
Exactly. And then you always then have the situation where you then are the chief bottle washer and everything of the business, while you're good as the chief and the bottle washer, but not good as the accountant. Recognize that. Hire somebody to do that for you. You know, it is because in the end, it is your hard work money that is going to be
to
involved.
go into it.
Exactly.
And I think it's something too, and I've talked about it several times on the program, that the entrepreneurial spirit is something that is in us as Caribbean people.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
because we more or less, I think, thought about it always as being self-employment.
Correct.
So we still have an employee mentality
Correct.
where we need to shift
Right.
to I am the manager
Correct.
and I'm responsible for
Right.
all in sundry now.
Right.
So it's not just about getting a paycheck,
Right.
but it has more mechanics, so to speak, that I think is very key for us to develop, over the next decade to really realize the potential of what it is we have.
It starts with some level of security,
Self-awareness.
self-awareness.
Yeah.
That you're what do you think about yourself?
How do you view it? Yeah.
How you view it, yourself, in a sense that it starts with that to then take up a business and lead it, because it's a lot of responsibility, not only, and it's not only blitz and glamour. Trust me, when you start a business, you're going to drive the Lexus or the GMC
right away. Exactly.
right away.
Yeah.
Got to work hard for it. But when you drive that Lexus or that GMC, it's going to be one based on monies earned that you know of it.
And it's profitable.
It is profitable. It is something that will be done for you, yourself, your kids, and many people after. We should think into that matter.
Generational.
Yes, exactly.
Very key.
And not so much of a one-off thing. You see, most businesses are going to for the quick money. Import a container with stuff, you sell it, and you make a 100% profit. You're in business.
Yeah.
I find those businessmen, yes, they need to be there, but you have a much better rewarding if you create something, if you come up with something that is really sustainable.
Yeah, and that's so key, because I tell people to try to get them to understand. Even if you're a fisherman, you're a businessman.
Correct.
You're not a taxi driver, you're a businessman.
Right.
Same thing with a contractor. Any profession that's out there can become a business.
Right.
So you have to decide whether or not you're going to be employed or you're going to be the one that's the employer, that's at the front end of it, so to speak, producing a service or putting a product out there on the market. So it's a different mindset. So I hope that out of this program that, we get that culture shift continuing, because I think it started with the launch of the Business Bureau a few years back in 2003.
Very good initiative.
So, and it's to continue to do that, especially with our young people.
Right.
Giving them those mechanics from a very young age, because that's one of the things in the U.S. now where, from a young age, they're encouraging them to be business person.
The lemonade stands.
Yeah,
from
very young. Exactly. Be a business person. Don't just think about going to college and getting a job.
Yep.
Be the movers and shakers in the economy. So that's very key.
I saw a program the other day on TV from the U.S. and we take that as an example. It's not that to put down our people, but it's just an example that you've seen, where the guy started as a handsman on the deck of a fishing ship, and by the time he reached 45, 50, he owns that company. He owns it with a whole fleet, being the biggest one of the biggest one in the U.S.
Wow.
And he's going back, actually it was the show Undercover, and he goes back to find out what is really happening in his business. And of course it's hard work again, but it is just so rewarding to see, like, listen, man, I've been here.
Yeah. And
I think that businesses should recognize that it is, when you're doing your business, it is, it's not for the faint of heart. It's for those people that are serious. Yeah. It's a marriage. And, well, some cases you have...
Yeah, it's a very big commitment.
A very big commitment.
Big commitment.
And like every relationship, you have sometimes divorces. And you need to recognize if you're in a business when you need to divorce it or need to continue. And if you do it well, like a good marriage,
you reap the fruit.
You reap the fruit later on.
That's very important. Well, we're running up on our time now. So let's talk about the timetable as far as where we are. We're looking at next milestone is the deadline for the submission of the application form on Thursday, August 6th at 4:30 p.m. sharp.
Right.
Don't bring it in at 4:35.
Yep. You're out.
Won't be accepted.
It won't be accepted. It won't be accepted.
Okay. See, that's why I'm encouraging everybody, July 1st, the week before.
Exactly. There are instructions in the document of how to submit questions to that email address. We can as I mentioned before, reply to it. We're entitled to reply to them up to July 27.
Okay.
And after the submission of the form is where the application in unsealed envelope and everything, we then enter the evaluation process.
Okay.
Which in this case will be a phase 1. The form has 2 sections. It has a concept note, which is something like executive summary, and a full application. So the executive summary will be evaluated first, and we hope by August 20th that we will be, that's the timeline that we have set out.
Okay.
This is still tentative, but it's
and again,
what
this
we're
is
looking
going to
at.
be done by a panel
That's what will be done by
that's
external.
not here
Correct.
in the Caribbean. Okay.
Exactly, external panel. Not here in BVI anyway.
Okay.
And then when the executive summary has been done, based on approval of those executive summaries, only the full applications of those executive summaries that have been approved will then be evaluated.
Okay. So then they'll go into the nuts and bolts of the
Exactly.
application.
Exactly. Okay. And then we hope going through everything by October 5th, that we will be able to send or provide the contracts to the winning companies.
Okay.
And that's where we then will, me and my team will then be do another round of visits to those that have been awarded a grant, because we'll then be able to provide them assistance in how to procure services or goods that they want to buy. I forgot to mention that that your activities that you're going to put forward, like I've mentioned before, the market research or product development, etc., by painting your shops, all need to be done in a maximum of 6 months. Okay. So it can be 2 months, so it can be 3 months, it can be 2 weeks, but not more than 6 months.
Okay. So whatever the project is,
yeah,
the timeline for it,
yes, 6 months.
Has to be finished within 6 months.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's 6 months from the contract signing.
Exactly. 6 months from the contract signing.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So then basically persons can basically plan for that money in the last quarter of the year.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Up onward to the first quarter of next year.
Into next year.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Awesome. Well, Sam, is there anything else we need to mention?
No, I just want to encourage BVI lenders to apply, businessmen to look into this opportunity. Again, it's not big set of money, it's a small amount. But I think by doing this, you're not only training yourself in going through this process, which may sooner or later will make it easier for you to look into bankers and other institutions that will provide funding, but also will be a sign to the EU, where they would say, like, listen, even though the BVI has a high GDP, there's still a strong on the layer of SMEs that need support. Yeah. That's the bottom line. Okay. And that will encourage, or at least will be some sign to the EU and the government, of course, to look for funding to support that
to
layer.
Continue that.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. And that's a very key point, because, you know, I coordinated a workshop the other day for the Caribbean Development Bank, and I was telling the participants that it's very important that when we have opportunities like this, in terms of it's free, that you have to show the interest, otherwise the bank is going to be like, well, you know, I guess no one needs it, so they pull back. Correct. These things. So it's very key when we have these types of opportunities available that we do well. Our part and make sure we put in an application. Exactly. Okay. That's very key. All right. So let's give the contact information again in case persons may need to follow up. Starting off with the website where they can download the form.
The website is www.cosmeprogram.org.
And that's COSME. Yes. And program, it's spelled the British way, PROGRAMME. .org. So you can pick that up. And where's the office again?
It's at the Comar building, there by
Port Purcell.
And
I should say it's Kumar building number 2.
Yes, Kumar building number 2.
So it's the one on the right side of when you're going up Fort Hill. Yep. Good.
And that's it. And information can always send an email to info@cosmeprogram.org. Okay. info@cosmeprogram.org.
And is there a number they can call at the office?
Yes, but we prefer to have
The emails?
the emails.
Okay.
We prefer to have the emails.
Okay.
Because in any case, we asked the caller to send us an email
As a
so
follow-up.
that we, as a follow-up, and also to have a record of a question or information that has been requested.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being here and sharing this valuable information with us.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to having you back when the second call for proposal goes out again.
Thank you. You're welcome.
You've been tuned into the Vigilate Dialogues. I'm your host, Shaina Smith. This evening, we've been talking about the direct assistance grant that's available through the European Development Fund. And we're encouraging all persons who are business persons especially, bear in mind that you have to have been in business for at least a year. So for persons, I know there are a lot of startup companies out there that are looking for funding. But for those that are at least a year old, you know, this is an excellent opportunity for you to grow your business as well as expand it for the future development of our country. So until next time, let's continue to change the conversation for a better Virgin Islands. Good evening.